Hi, welcome to the Heart of New York show. I am so excited today because I got my good friend Doug Heilman back. Okay, his book is out. It's called Being Dad. And not only that, the significance behind his whole story, we're blessed and fortunate enough to, as I would like to say, and use the term, have his kids here today to show you what kind of ministry Doug had when he got this calling probably 5 decades ago. But I'm going to tell him a little bit about it, and then we'll listen to the rest of the stories here that are all in the book of Being Dad. So welcome back.
Thank you.
Welcome back. Now, just because people probably seeing this for the first time and not remembering your story, can you give a little bit about your story on how this, how you became dad?
Well, that's another question. But how it started was I was the youth pastor in the 59th Street Lutheran Brethren Church. And on April 8th of 1975, 40 kids decided to join my youth group. And they were a group called the Homicides Incorporated, which was a street gang from the Sunset Park neighborhood. They came in and disrupted my youth service. My blonde, blue-eyed Norwegians turned really, really pale. And they came and took over the front rows, and that's where it all began.
So this gang walked in right through the doors, and you got all the blonde-haired, blue-eyed Scandinavians sitting there.
They came and took over the front rows. As you know, any church service, the front rows are the ones that are empty. So that's where they headed for, and they took over the front seats, and I decided, well, it's a one-time shot. Let me share the gospel with them, and that's what I did. And after the service, they stayed around, and I thought later, man, that will never happen again. And it happened the next week, and the week after that. And they finally said that they wanted and to leave the church, as they put it delicately. These white honkies get anybody. We want you. And so I left the church and went on the street for the next 20 years.
So you started a ministry. You broke away from your, I'll call it a comfort job. I mean, meaning that you had all the security. And you went out there not knowing how you're going to make an income, what you're going to do, and all this. So you got together, and all of a sudden, because of the time involved here, a house for gang members to come to. Is that right?
Well, when I left the church, I had no money and no place to live because so I was able to get a small apartment, and I just started to go around and see the kids. There was actually 17 gangs out there. And so I decided that my safety bet was to go out and meet the leaders of the other groups, and I did.
Saying, right, he's now in Brooklyn, and he's going out and talking to these gang members out there that I'm sure that they didn't have Bible studies. All right. We got Lloyd, Alicia here. We got that gentleman, Stingray. These guys, all of them, including Lloyd, were here. Right at the start, I could say, right?
Yes.
Now, so he's saying, I got to get this book, I got to get this story out. If I do not get this story out, no one's going to hear it. Okay? So the way he did it was, this is your book, you're the author,
right.
But you had, as I could say, every one of your kids write their story in here.
18 of them.
18
of them.
18 kids. And they were all affiliated with gangs, whether they were the Homicides Inc. or something else.
Pretty much.
Okay. Now, we come to you. Lloyd, how are you today?
I'm good.
That's super terrific.
Thank you very much.
She has a good story because I want her to tell it. And she's one of New York's finest, okay? And we're all proud of you.
Yes.
We're all proud of you, and we're all for you, and every police officer out there, we're 100% behind you guys.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So why don't you tell a little bit about how do you know Doug? How did it get started with you?
Doug a long time. But if I say how long, it's going to reveal my age. So I met Doug through my brothers. I was related to a gang by brothers. I was never a gang member. I was the little sister. We have a lot of those. And my brothers, we came to Sunset Park in 1972. I was 7 years old. And my brother, Edgar, who I wrote in the book about, was a year older than me. Yeah. My brother Joe and my sister Denise. We settled in 1972 in Sunset Park, and my brother, my parents enrolled me in elementary school, which was PS 169. I got there in the second grade. My brothers were also enrolled in PS 169. My sister went to Dewey Junior High School, and immediately she joined a gang called the Turban Queens, which was, I guess it was the
Turban Saints affiliated.
The Turban Saints, the girls of the Turban Saints, which was another big gang that my brothers were related to. They were Turban Saints, and that's basically it. I was just I was related to the gang. I hung out with these gangsters, maybe the biggest gangsters.
You did.
I hung out. Yeah, they came to my house. My mother fed them.
And now you're a detective.
No, I'm a detective, but they're still my friends, they're my buddies.
Family.
That's great.
Yeah, they're my family. They're my brothers.
So now, wait a minute. You're with this, and your brother's in the gang and all that. How did you see Doug? How did you find Doug?
Doug. We were raised Christian. My mom raised us as Pentecostals.
Okay.
So my mom and dad are still religious, very religious Pentecostals. We were bred with the Lord. I mean, we knew what bad or good or whatever. My brothers decided to go into the Turban Saints at the time, which was a brotherhood. I mean, these guys were dangerous guys, but I didn't see them that way. They were my brothers. They came in there. They watched Star Trek with me in the living room. I mean, I used to read stories to them. I remember Doug. I don't know if you remember this, Dad. He was skinny. And he was a white boy.
Because he was feeling
walking through Sunset Park, Brooklyn.
How about that?
He looked like he didn't belong.
Papa Smurf.
Yeah.
Papa Smurf. Yeah.
I'm not going to call him Papa Smurf, but he reminded me of a story I read of, I don't remember, Wilkinson, Reverend Wilkinson.
Oh, sure.
A book I read about Run Baby Run with Nicky Cruz. I said, what's this guy doing here? He's walking down 41st Street and 4th Avenue, which was like the hub of the whole Turban Saints, Turban Queens. And I remember him because one time my brother Edgar and his best friends, which are Eddie Boy, and which you'll meet his sister later on, Eddie Boy and Little Fly, and they all had nicknames, okay? Yeah. And Armando and Byron and we saw all these guys that I knew. They got arrested one time. It's a long story. Yeah. And the first person that my brother told me to get was Reverend Doug. He said, call Doug. And my mother already knew who he was because my mother had asked him he visited with my mother. My mother loves him so much because he tried so hard to take care of, these guys. He was like a father. He would sit around. He would hang out with them. Sometimes they would tell him to get the hell out of here. They would talk to him in ways, and he just stood there. He was patient. He was kind. Never a bad word. That's how I remember him.
Isn't that something? Isn't that something?
That my brother loved him.
So you guys, okay?
Yeah. You
get affiliated with Doug here, and you're hearing the Word of God, and you came from a Pentecostal background. So that's now we're looking at the change. Stingray.
Yes.
Tell us what
Well, I remember.
Tell us everything, brother.
I remember the first time I met Doug. We had taken over an abandoned building on 47th Street and 4th Avenue.
Okay.
And there was a garage next to it, so we turned it into a club. And one day there was about 15 of us just hanging out, and this old guy shows up with a long beard, and there was a woman with him, and he walked up to us. He goes, "How you doing? My name's Reverend Doug."
Just like that.
Just like that. So he walked up to us, and we said, "Who the hell is this guy? Who is he? He's got to be a cop. He's got to be a cop. Don't trust him. Don't trust him." And he started talking to us. He says, "My name's Reverend Doug. I have a church. I want to talk to you about the Lord. I want to help you guys out. Tell me what you need. And still we didn't trust him.
Mm-hmm.
The lady that was with him at the time took pictures and was saying, this guy's got to be a cop. Something's not right with this guy. He stood with us for about an hour. He gained our trust. He said, I got to leave now, but I'll come back.
How many of you were there?
About 15 of us.
15 gang members
Yeah,
there.
I was vice president of the assassinators.
Of the assassinators?
Yes.
What a name, huh? Assassinators.
Yeah. So the fact that I trusted him, the guys felt comfortable. Yes.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
The fact that I trusted him, the guys felt comfortable. So they said, don't trust him. He's got to be a cop. He's got to be a cop. So I said, anyway, let's just hear him out. So he started talking to us. He says, if you guys need anything, if you need help, you know, I'm here. I'm here. Nevertheless, an hour passed. He said, I'm leaving now, but I'll be back. After he
said
left,
that.
yeah.
Okay.
After he left, we questioned him. Yo, this guy's not right. Something's wrong about this guy. We can't trust him. He's got to be a cop. He said, I'll be back soon. Days passed. He came back, which is something that nobody ever did. Nobody ever came up to us. They usually avoided us. They would cross the street or try to stay away from us altogether. But he came back. And he came back and he goes, remember me? I was here. Yeah, yes. And we started to talk to him. And he says, you know, the Lord has something for you. The Lord has a mission for you. There's something about you that God has intended, and you have to, you know, believe in him, and he'll help you out. And we question it. What is it? What is it that he has for us? How is it that he's going to help us? Because we've never been helped before. Nobody ever came to us before. But we started to trust him. We started to believe in him. And sure enough, he came coming back and back and back and back. And then one day he showed up in a little blue Volkswagen Bug, right? Yeah, the license plate said Reverend Doug. And we said, there's something wrong about this. There's something wrong about this. Who shows up to help us out in a little blue Volkswagen? Yeah. But we started to trust him.
Right.
We started to believe in him. And all he said was, God has a mission for you. God has a job for you. God has intentions for you. You have to believe in God. You have to trust in God. And I'm going to help you get there. So sure enough, little by little, we started trusting him. We started believing in what he was saying. We said to ourselves, there's no way that anybody who doesn't have good intentions is going to keep showing up time after time after time after time and waste his time on us when nobody else did. There were many times when people wished us dead, and every time somebody died on the streets, they would clap or say, oh, I'm glad he's dead. Good for them, but not him. He showed us that he cared. So he kept on coming back to the point where we actually did trust him. And he says, if you guys want to learn about God, receive God, and know that there's a purpose for you in life, come to my discipleship. He called it the discipleship.
Right.
Yeah, and we did. We started going to his Bible studies, me being one of them. And I said to myself, there's something funny about this. I don't understand this. I couldn't understand why this man wanted to help us. But sure enough, he did. And I believe that I'm here this day, right now, doing this interview because of him.
Yes.
Because there were many times when everybody else that I believed in, that I thought cared about me, gave up on me, and he didn't. He said, every time, Doug always finished the conversation saying, you know I love you, right? And you know God loves you too. And he say, ask, come on, Doug. No, I love you. And he kept saying that over and over and over again. And because of him, I believe that I'm still here. He made a big difference in my life. Because of him, I have a wife, I have a child, and my family and I are doing a lot better because of him. At that time, nobody cared about us. There was few people that even gave a damn about one of us dying or to hear that somebody lost a family member. He was always there. When somebody
lost a family member from a gang fight or something?
Yeah, every time somebody died, whether it was the dirty ones, the assassinators, the turban saints, the Rican saints, the maceteros, the bedjocks, he was always there. And there were times when I see him, I said, Doug, you got time for me? No, not right now. I got to go to a funeral. Somebody that I loved died today. And I said, oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Doug. Go ahead. He said, I'll see you later. He always said, I'll see you later. And he kept his promise. So I believe that Doug made a big difference in his life, my life, her life, and everybody else's life. Because at that time, there was nobody that really showed us they cared. He did.
So Doug also helped you get to know God better.
Yes, he did. He kept telling me, God has a mission for you. God has a purpose for you. And I said, what is that? What do you mean? Tell me, explain to me. And he goes, he does. Read the Bible. Come to me. I'll talk to you. We'll sit down. We'll have a chat. There were many times when I went to his house when I felt lost.
Right.
And he was there. And I said, God, I said, Doug, I'm confused. I don't know what to do. I feel lost. He goes, talk to me. What's on your mind? And by the time I left his house, he told me, God has a purpose for you. I love you. God loves you. And that was it. I believe that I'm here today because of him.
Isn't that something?
Yes.
Isn't that something? And your story is also in the book?
Yes.
Being Dad.
Being Dad.
You wrote it.
I wrote it, yes. I wrote it from the heart because not only did he help me, but he gave my mother a job. He hired her as a cook for his discipleship.
Okay.
Which meant that more people were going towards,
He gave me my first job too.
Yeah.
Discipleship. Thank
Yeah.
you.
What were you doing there?
He put me with the main staff with Steve Jorgensen and
Yeah.
Sarah and Nancy Risher.
Wow.
And what I did was the accounts payable. I did the accounting, the bookkeeping with Nancy.
Her brother was a Rican
Sure.
saint.
Yeah.
I was an assassinator.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And we were not rivals.
You were rivals?
No, we were not
You were
rivals.
not rivals.
No.
So there's gangs when you were
There were
growing up,
gangs that got along and gangs
got
that
along,
didn't. Yeah,
okay.
Right.
like the bad jocks or the
Right.
horny bastards, what they call themselves.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but
Okay.
we never
Benny
had
would be in the
hostility.
We're going to get to you in a minute a little bit.
We never had hostility towards each other because we were in the same area.
Yes.
10
Okay.
blocks separated us. 10 blocks in either direction separated us.
There were gangs that got along.
Yes. And then
then
the dirty ones,
the
and
dirty
the
ones, they
homicides, and other gangs that we
Right.
tried to kill each other. And God would, and Doug would come around and say, "Look, you have to stop this. This is madness. There's no purpose in this."
I mean, it sounds like this is like right out of the movies where you see these gangs that are actually shootouts and knives and all that.
Yeah.
This is
But
what
in the
you're talking
movies,
about,
in the
right?
movies, they say cut, and it's all over.
Right.
There was no cut for
There
us.
was no, yeah.
There was no cut for us. Doug used to come around. I heard there was a shootout. Is everybody okay? Yes. You know, somebody died over there. Now I got to go to a funeral. You guys have to stop this. Whether you did it or not, you guys have to stop this. And there were many times when I used to say to myself, that could be me. And he would comfort my mother. My mother used to call him. I heard there was a shootout. Somebody died. Is my son okay? Because she didn't know where I was at. But he would.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Can I just interject something here?
Absolutely.
When there be a rumble scheduled,
Yeah.
we're going to have a fight. We're going to be on 3rd Avenue or 2nd Avenue, whatever.
Well, how'd you find that out? Was it on 1010 Wins Radio?
They
or-
would call me.
Yeah.
Listen, there's going to be a big fight on 3rd Avenue.
Stay away.
And both sides would call me
No.
with the intention that I would show up.
Exactly.
And then they walk away. Boy, what we're going to do? Reverend Doug hadn't ruined
He
it.
ruined it.
Yeah,
Right.
he ruined it. Yeah.
They
Right.
called me to come and
Yeah.
ruin it
So
because they didn't want to hurt anybody. They didn't want to get hurt. So they would call me to break it up, then blame me for it when it happened.
Yeah. We were mad at him for stepping.
so you would go right before the Rumble, and
Yeah.
you would
Yeah.
appear like in the middle of them or something.
I'd yell at
Yeah.
them.
This is beautiful.
Well,
Like-
we were planning a rumble for like 10 o'clock p.m.
Uh-huh.
Friday. Best day because everybody gets drunk, everybody gets high. We're intending to get hurt, but we don't want to feel the after effects. And Doug will show up and say, oh, son, I hear there's a rumble planned tonight. Are you participating? No, Doug. Stop lying. Yes, you are. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Right.
Doug, I promise I won't be there. And he will show up.
Oh boy.
His little Volkswagen would drive up to a park of our choosing where we were going to fight and try to kill each other, and he would show up, and sometimes it would make a difference. Sometimes we wouldn't go through it.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
That is. I mean, if we could see it, I bet you the Gabriel Angel was right there next to you.
Yeah.
And that's
He
what
had a guardian the whole
Right.
time.
Yeah,
He was in the middle of it.
I had a troop of guardians.
Yeah.
Just a moment.
big time.
Yeah.
Big time. Little Ben, how are you down there, brother?
Very well, thank God.
Why don't you tell everybody out there how did you get to know Doug?
I met Doug through one of my friends, Richie Ramos, rest in peace.
Yes, amen.
Me and him, we were always hanging around. We were close buddies. We were part of the same group, the Horny Bastards. And our territory was more like Sunset Park area, the whole park itself. And my friend Richie was telling me, oh, I know this guy, he could help us out. You know, I know we're involved with drugs and everything, and you know, he could help us out. He's got places to go to change your whole life around. So I heard about him, and one day Doug decided to come and visit where I was hanging out in Sunset Park. And in Sunset, on 41st Street and 6th Avenue, there's like a circle. But in that circle there's like a hill. And on that hill, it's about maybe 4 or 5 feet long, that it's like a deepness. Or what's the word I'm trying to use? All I know is that when I saw Doug coming, I said, oh, man, he's coming after me, man.
Like a
and
hole.
I tried to hide.
Yeah.
And when I ended up trying to hide, I ended up falling, rolling all the way down to the ground. And I stood there, and I was like, oh. And guess who's right there who went down the hill to get me? Reverend Doug Howard.
Well, I have to say, as I walked up, anybody seen Ben? He's down there.
Yeah. We would rat each other out.
So you were looking for him.
Yeah.
Looking for little Ben.
Yeah,
All right.
We didn't want him to bother with us, so we'd always point somebody else out. You know,
Go after them.
Yeah,
Go
yeah.
after them.
Because
The
he
park.
was part of his discipleship.
Okay.
He lived in his house.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
So Doug made sure that whoever was under his roof had to go by the rules.
Oh, of course.
That's why I never lived with him.
Okay.
Because I had a problem with rules. But he never gave up on me either. But he would say, it's Ben here. Oh, yeah, right down there. Look, he just tried to hide on you.
So what were the rules, though?
Oh, in the house?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
We had-
drinking, no drugs.
Well,
no?
there were.
Homer.
Go ahead, Ben. You can probably.
All right. Well, before
He
we
knows the
go
rules.
with the house, I just want to talk about that, because that ended up like, we started talking, and he was being truthful. He was honest. He was for real. He wasn't no joke. He was
Yeah.
nothing like that. And I struggled because my father wasn't there in my life. You know, my father were my friends. My friends, we did everything radical out in the streets, and stuff that wasn't really nice or good at all. And Doug opened up his doors for me, and he allowed me to live in the house. And he says, you know, you could stay here. You could live here if you don't want to stay at your parents. And at that time, I was living with my mother, my sister, and my grandmother, which was all ladies. And I had issues with them also. I mean, I was very rebellious and didn't want to do the right thing. I just wanted to go on my own, do what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And but Doug opened up his door, and I accepted, and I went. I didn't like it because there was rules.
Yeah.
And you know, that's where I wanted Dad to share the rules that he had
Yeah.
at the house, which was strict, but I had to deal with it.
You got them
It was,
memorized,
it was like
right?
the in-between, before you go to heaven, you have to go through a gate where they find out what you did good in life. That was Doug.
Okay.
You know, so did you follow Doug's rules? Okay, welcome. You see, but
That's
in our
great.
situation, right?
Yeah.
Not to take away from the parents.
Right.
Like me, I come from a family of 9.
Yeah.
3 girls and 6 boys. My father was constantly working, trying to provide for us. But he was too busy to show us love. My mom was too busy to take care of us all the time because she was trying to cook for us and keep us healthy. So we had no choice but to go into the streets. And nobody there cared. Nobody. It was very rare that you had somebody come up to you and say, let me help you, brother. Let me help you, sister. He did that.
Isn't that something?
Yes.
Isn't that something? So
He did
little,
that.
Little Ben, you got in the house. You're living there. You're
I
under the
lived there,
rules.
and I followed the rules. I stuck to it. I said, you know, I got to do it. I want to change. I don't want to be that me that I used to be. I want to be I know that there's something better about me. And I ended up living in the house, and Doug introduced me to the Lord. That's when I accepted the Lord in 1983.
Wow.
And I decided, all right, you know, I got to know about Christ. I was on fire for the Lord. And I said, Lord, I want to do the right thing. I want to please you, Lord God. And I was going to John Jay High School at the time. And I started changing my attitude. I was really good with the teachers. I used to write all over the walls of John Jay High School. I mean, I was a graffiti artist. But, you know, I got busted. I had it cleaned. I had a... They called me into the office. They said, listen, we need somebody to come over because you can't stay in the school. So you're going to have to get somebody who's a guardian for you. and you'll be accepted back to school. So Doug ended up going to school, and what did they tell you? I don't remember.
Well, I have to interject here. I get a call from the school. I was on speed dial at John Jay High School. And I got a call from the school. I said, can you come down here? So I went down. I said, okay, what's Ben done now? So they said, oh, we're concerned here because Ben came to the janitor, and he asked for a bucket of warm water, some soap, and some sponges. And then he went around the school cleaning his name off all the walls that he had put it on. And we didn't know how to handle this.
That was all the floors of John Jay.
Yeah.
That was a long
They
mission.
had no idea what to do with Ben.
Absolutely amazing story. I'm telling you, what we're seeing here is, I love Doug. Not only what he has done, but what we're really seeing here is the power of Jesus in their lives.
Yes.
Okay? And no matter who you are, where you are, how far down the road you've gone, or what you've done in the past, Jesus loves you.
Yes.
Doug loves you.
Yeah.
Right, Doug?
Yep,
He
absolutely.
loves you.
Yeah.
His book, Being Dad, has helped people transform their lives with the power of God in their lives, and he can do the same thing to you.
Yes.
You gotta just believe. God bless you all. Thank you so much for watching this whole show. We got another one coming up soon. You're gonna see some more kids. God bless you. See you soon.
Thank you.